I shattered every oath I swore to the Navy that night, diving into hurricane-force winds to drag a sinking yacht's survivors from the jaws of the Atlantic. Protocol be damned, because a child's scream pierced the chaos like a knife to my gut. In the dim glow of my helmet light, I locked eyes with the father, a silver-haired ghost of a man clutching his wife and daughter, and for a split second, I swore I'd seen that face before, in nightmares I couldn't place. By dawn, as the medevac chopper lifted us all to safety, I learned his name, Harlan Voss, the man who'd buried my life in lies and left me to rot for his sins. And, in that moment, I vowed he'd pay for every breath he'd stolen from me. The salt spray stung my eyes like acid, but I couldn't look away from the yacht's hull cracking open like a rotten eggshell under the Atlantic's fury. It was September 2023, off the coast of Virginia Beach, where Hurricane Alara had come ashore uninvited, a Category 3 beast that the brassback at Norfolk had ordered us to monitor from afar. Observe and report, my CO had barked over the radio, his voice crackling like dry leaves. No heroics, Lieutenant Reed. We lose birds in this shit. But I was already suited up in my dry suit, the Sikorsky's rotors whipping the rain into a horizontal blizzard, my heart pounding a rhythm that drowned out the warnings. I'm Willow Reed. Or, at least that's the name I went by then, 32. Decorated swimmer with SEAL team aspirations that felt further away than ever after my last op went south in the Gulf. The Navy had been my anchor since I was 18, enlisting out of a nowhere town in West Virginia where coal dust choked the dreams right out of you. My mom died young from the black lung she picked up waitressing in those dying mines. And Dad? He vanished when I was 12, leaving behind a stack of unpaid bills and a Polaroid of him grinning on some oil rig in the Gulf. The service gave me purpose, the crisp lines of command, the brotherhood that didn't ask about your ghosts. But that night, as the MH-60 Jayhawk bucked against the 80-knot gusts, purpose twisted into something feral. Reed, pull back, my pilot. Jax yelled through the intercom, his Texas drawl edged with panic. The yacht, fancy rig, probably some weekend warrior's toy from the Hamptons, had radioed a mayday just as the eye wall slammed us. 3 souls aboard. Man, woman, kid. Coordinates put them 5 miles out, dead in the troughs. Protocol said wait for daylight. Let the Coast Guard handle it with their bigger birds. But I heard the girl's voice on the open frequency, faint and keening. Daddy, it's cold. I can't hold on. And just like that, the rules I'd sworn to uphold snapped like the yacht's rigging. I clipped in, fast roped into the black soup below, the drogue chute barely deploying before the waves swallowed me. Cold hit like a sledgehammer, even through the neoprene, 5 degrees Celsius. The kind that numbs your fingers in seconds. I surfaced, spitting brine, and fired my die marker. The chopper's spotlight swung wild, carving yellow cones through the froth. There, the yacht's bow, splintered against a rogue swell. The family clinging to a jury-rigged life raft that was more tarp than salvation. The father was hauling the girl, maybe 8, pigtails plastered to her skull, while the mother fought to keep the lines from slipping. Swimmer in, I keyed my mic, voice steady despite the adrenaline torching my veins. Jax cursed something about my court-martial, but the winch hummed, and I was kicking hard, rescue strop in one hand, the other groping for the raft's edge. The father reached out, his grip iron on my wrist calloused, like a man who'd worked rigs or docks. Not the silk-suited type this boat screamed of. Thank God, he rasped, voice gravel over the roar. Up close, His face was a map of weathering late 50s, salt and pepper beard, eyes like chipped flint under heavy brows. Familiar, in that gut punch way you can't trust. We got the girl first, tiny thing named Ellie, shivering so bad her teeth chattered Morse code. I wrapped her in my spare thermal blanket, clipped her to the hoist line, and watched her ascend into the light like a reluctant angel. The mother next, mid-40s, blonde bob ruined, clutching a sodden purse like it held state secrets. Her name was Laura. She gasped between retches. A real estate agent from Bethesda chasing Harlan's big break in Norfolk. Harlan. The name landed soft. Unremarkable. He was last, muscled despite his age, shoving me toward the line with a gruff, "You first,
ma'am."
I ain't leaving without my girls. Bullshit chivalry. I yanked him aboard the raft instead, our shoulders slamming as another breaker buried us. That's when it happened, the locket. As he surfaced, gasping, the chain around his neck caught the beam, a silver oval, engraved with a willow tree, dangling a faded photo. My breath hitched. Mom's locket. The one Dad had given her before he ghosted us. The one she'd pawned for my first braces, swearing it'd come back someday. I shook it off, coincidence, stress, hallucination. But his eyes met mine then, and there was a flicker, a shadow of recognition that made my skin crawl. By 0400, we were wheels up, the family bundled in the cabin while I stripped my gear, fingers pruned and useless. Jack shot me a look that said, "You're fucked," but there was pride in it too. At the base hospital, the docs cleared them, hypothermia, bruises, but alive. Harlan cornered me in the hall, Ellie dozing in his lap, on a gurney. "You saved us, Lieutenant." Name's Harlan Voss. "Whatever it costs you, I'll make it right." His handshake was firm. Lawyerly. Wait. Lawyer? Something clicked. Voss and Associates. DC firm. Splashed across headlines a decade back. Corporate sharks. The kind that devoured whistleblowers for breakfast. I mumbled thanks, signed the debrief forms with lies about minimal deviation, and crashed in my rack till noon. The inquiry hit like a depth charge 2 days later. Brass hauled me into the SCF. Faces like storm clouds. "You fast-roped Solo into unsecured waters."
Read.
"Ignored ROEs. Risked the asset." My CO, Captain Hale, a grizzled vet with a prosthetic from Fallujah, leaned in. "Why?" I fed them the line, instinct. The kid's voice, but inside. Doubt gnawed. Was it heroism? Or had that locket cracked something open I couldn't seal? Harlan called that week. From a burner number that screamed off books. "Willow, right? Saw it on your helmet cam footage." "How the hell?" "Listen. I owe you dinner." My treat. "Bring your CO if you want witnesses." I laughed it off. But curiosity, or stupidity, had me at the Waterside District Oyster Bar by Friday. He was there with Laura and Ellie, scrubbed and suburban. The storm a bad dream. Ellie drew me a picture. Me as a mermaid soldier, hoisting her to safety. Harlan slid an envelope across the table, checks for the crew. A donation to the base fund that smelled like a bribe. "For the protocol thing," he said, eyes twinkling. "Discretion's my middle name." Over clams and craft IPAs, he spun his yarn, tech consultant turned litigator. Semi-retired. Yachting to clear his head after a nasty divorce filing. Laura was the rebound. Ellie the light. But there were gaps, his accent. Pure Tidewater, Virginia. Not the clipped DC he'd affect on TV. And that locket, tucked under his collar now. But I caught the glint. Family heirloom, he said when I asked. Casual as fog. From my mother. Willow tree for her Irish roots.
Lie.
Mom was Irish. Dad was the ghost. We talked Navy, his brother in Nam, the draft dodges he'd seen. He bought rounds, toasted my guts, and by closing time, I felt seen, not just saluted. Jax texted, "Don't let the sharks swim free." But Harlan Voss swam in my veins now, a current pulling me under. Little did I know, he was the undertow. Weeks blurred into routine, PT at dawn, Sims in the pool, the inquiry dragging like a fouled prop. Harlan's donation greased wheels, Hale pulled strings, and my reprimand shrank to a footnote. Gratitude? Or leverage? He texted updates. Ellie's nightmares easing. Laura selling a condo to fund a new boat, smaller. Seaworthy. Then invites. Crab feast at their rental in Ocean View. I went. Alone. Telling myself it was closure. The house was McMansion prefab. Flags on the porch. Grills smoking with Old Bay. Neighbors milled. Retired jarheads. Realtors in polos. Beers and koozies. Country crooning from Bluetooth speakers. Harlan clapped my back like an old shipmate. Willow Reed. Savior of the Voss clan. Heads turned. Applause rippled. Ellie dragged me to her dollhouse, staging our rescue with Barbie in flight suit. Laura poured Chardonnay, her laugh a touch too bright. Harlan's been different since. Grateful. That night, after too many drinks, he pulled me aside on the deck. Ocean sighing below. You remind me of someone, he said, voice low. Lock it out now. Thumbing the clasp.
Fierce.
Unbreakable. My pulse thrummed. Tell him about Mom. The photo?
No.
Too raw. Instead, I asked about his work. Quiet now, he evaded. Old cases haunt you, like the Voss scandal. I almost said, the 2013 whistleblower trial, where his firm shredded a Navy contractor for fraud, pinning it on a junior engineer who ate the fall. The engineer disappeared after. Ruled suicide. Name, Elias Reed. My uncle, Dad's brother. The only family who'd stuck. I froze. Beer bottle slick in my palm. Harlan's eyes narrowed, then softened. Rough seas.
Kid.
But you navigate, M. He clapped my shoulder. Retreated inside. I left at midnight, driving my Tacoma too fast on the 264. Radio blasting Springsteen to drown the questions. Uncle Elias, framed for Harlan's cooked books. Voss and associates dodging billions in penalties by throwing him to the wolves. I'd buried that grief deep, enlisting to honor his memory. And now, the man who'd orchestrated it owed me his life. Revenge didn't bloom then, it festered. I dug quietly, FOIAs on the trial. Old post clippings scanned in my off hours. Harlan's texts kept coming. Ellie's asking for her hero. Barbecue soon? I played along. Smiles through gritted teeth, while the noose tightened in my mind. But secrets have a way of uncoiling slow, and Harlan Voss was a knot I hadn't fully untied. Fall crept in with Norfolk's chill, leaves turning the dismal swamp gold while my world grayed at the edges. The inquiry closed with a slap on the wrist, a month's leave. Mandatory counseling for impulse assessment. Hale cornered me in the hangar. Reed, you're gold. But gold bends. Voss called in favors. Don't make me regret it. Favors. The words soured like bilge water. I nodded, saluted sharp, but inside, the plan took shape, not hot-blooded sabotage, but cold, calculated exposure. I'd unravel Harlan Voss thread by thread, make him watch his empire fray. Counseling was a joke, some shrink named Dr. Patel in a strip mall office off Granby Street. Posters of lighthouses mocking my drift. What drove the breach? Willow, she'd probe, her pen scratching like claws. I fed her half-truths, the girl's scream, echoes of Mom's last breaths in that hospital bed. But the real hook was Harlan, the ghost in the locket. I started with the photo, snuck a cell pic at the next crab boil, zoomed on the faded faces inside, a young woman, dark curls, cradling a baby. Mom at 20. With infant me? No, the timeline jibed, but the eyes. Harlan's eyes, staring back from the babe's face. That realization hit during PT laps. Pool water turning to ink in my vision. I nearly drowned myself in the deep end, surfacing to Jax's worried whistle. You good?
Will.
He was my anchor. The Texan with a drawl that hid his own scars. IED in Kandahar. Lost a leg, but not his fire. Over beers at Smartmouth Brewery that night, I spilled fragments. The save. The locket. Voss's shadow over my past. Jax leaned in, foam on his mustache. Dig or drop it, darlin'. Ghosts don't pay alimony. I dug. Nights in my one-bedroom off-base. Laptop glowing like a foxfire. I chased digital trails. LinkedIn painted Harlan as the White Knight, pro bono for vets. Board seat at the USO. But deeper, Pacer dockets. Unsealed exhibits from Elias's case showed the rot. Voss and associates hadn't just framed my uncle, they'd engineered his suicide. Forged notes. Tampered meds. A push from the Roosevelt Bridge that the coroner called consistent with despair. Elias had emailed me once. Pre-trial. Willow girl. If I go quiet,
It's not me.
love your uncle. I dismissed it as paranoia. Now, it screamed cover-up. Harlan sensed the shift. Text turned probing. You seem distant. Everything shipshape? I mirrored back charm. Accepted another invite, this time. A thank you gala at the Chrysler Museum. Black tie with harbor views. I borrowed a dress from Jax's sister, emerald silk that hugged like a second skin, and walked in like I owned the marble floors. Harlan was in his element. Tuxedo sharp, Laura on his arm in pearls, schmoozing donors with that tidewater charm. Ellie spotted me first, barreling through legs in a velvet frock. Auntie Willow, dance with Daddy. He obliged, waltzing me under chandeliers that dripped light like rain. Up close, his cologne briny oak, like low tide, stirred memories I couldn't place. You're a natural, he murmured, hand firm on my waist. Ever think of leaving the waves for something steadier? Subtext, his world, his protection. I laughed.
Light.
Studies for civilians. Harlan. I thrive in the storm. Post-dance. He steered me to the balcony. City lights smearing across the Elizabeth River. About Elias, he said, casual as a weather report. My spine iced. Saw your searches. Old wounds.
Huh.
No denial. Just that flint-eyed gaze. He was in over his head. Willow. Navy contracts, black budgets. Shadows that swallow men. I tried to pull him out. Lie or half-truth. His voice cracked. Just a hair. The locket. It was his. Meant for you. After. The world tilted. You knew him. Statement. Not question. Harlan nodded. Slow. Brothers in arms.
Once.
Your father. Complicated man. Dad. The ghost had a thread to Voss. I pressed. Voice a whip. What did you do to him?
He sighed.
Wind tousling his hair. Protected what was mine. Sometimes, you bury the dead to save the living. Cryptic bullshit. But it cracked the dam. He knew Dad knew me. Before the storm. I ghosted after that. Radio silence for weeks. Leave turned to brooding drives along the Outer Banks. Sand dunes whispering regrets. Jax dragged me to ODU tailgates. Forcing normalcy amid cornhole and natty lights. But sleep evaded. Haunted by locked eyes. Then the call. Laura. Hysterical. Harlan's gone. Left a note. Business trip.
But.
Willow. He mentioned you. Said your family.
Family.
The word poisoned. I drove to Bethesda, uninvited, pounding the door of their split-level colonial till Ellie answered. Eyes puffy. Daddy's sad box is open, she whispered, leading me to his study. Papers everywhere, ledgers.
Photos.
A birth certificate yellowed with age. Willow Jane Reed. Born 1991. Virginia Beach Hospital. Father, Harlan James Voss. Mother, Eileen O'Connor, Mom's maiden name. The room spun. I was his. The man I'd saved. The architect of my uncle's ruin. Was my blood. Betrayal didn't cut. It eviscerated. Photos chronicled the lie. Dad, not vanished, but erased, grinning with infamy on a pier. Mom beaming beside him. Then gaps. Divorce papers dated 93. Custody battles smeared in redactions. Harlan had relinquished rights to shield me from his world, or so the notes claimed. But Elias? Collateral. Harlan's firm cooked books on a subcontract. Elias discovered.
Threatened to blow it.
Framed to discredit. A memo read. Suicide staged for closure. Rage boiled. Pure kerosene. I pocketed the cert. Drove back south with murder in my veins. Not literal. But the slow kind. The kind that strips a man's legacy bare. Harlan surfaced days later. At a dive bar in Portsmouth. Nursing bourbon, like penance. You found it. No hello. I slid the cert across scarred oak. Explain.
He did.
In fits, young lawyer. Navy JAG stint in the 80s. Fell for Mom during shore leave. Me conceived in passion. But his career, climbing Voss and Associates. Cutthroat mergers, demanded clean lines. I walked to spare you the dirt, he said. Voice raw. Elias knew too much. I didn't pull the trigger. Willow. But I loaded the gun. Confession? Or deflection? He flipped then. Eyes hardening. Or maybe you're the ghost.
Come to collect.
But blood's thicker. I walked out. But the hook was set. Revenge wasn't exposure anymore. It was inheritance. I'd claim his world. Twist it till he begged for the storm's mercy. Back at base. I filed for extended leave. Family emergency. Jack saw through it. Slipped me a burner. Call if it gets wet. I didn't. Instead, I infiltrated. Posed as a paralegal intern at Voss and Associates. DC satellite office in a glass tower off K Street. Fake resume. Charm offensive. Harlan's reference. Ironic as hell. They bit. I started Mondays. Combing files for the kill shot. The firm was a viper pit, associates in $1,000 suits. Coffee black as their souls. Harlan's office, corner suite. Potomac view was off limits. But his protege, slick weasel named Trent, spilled over lunches at Founding Farmers. Boss man's got skeletons, Trent smirked. Kale salad untouched. That yacht save? PR gold. But whispers say he cut corners on the build. Faulty keel. Insurance scam? My ears perked. If true, the storm wasn't fate, it was fraud. Deeper dives confirmed Harlan's semi-retirement funded by shell companies. Laundering kickbacks from defense gigs. Elias's case? Tip of the berg. I photographed docs. Emailed anonym to a post stringer, timed for max bleed. But Harlan countered. Flipping the board. Anonymous tip to my CO. Dredging the protocol breach. Hale held me back. Voss is singing now.
Read.
Says you coerced him. Blackmail? Lies. But they stuck. My career teetering. Climax brewed at Thanksgiving. Harlan's invite. A Voss tradition in McLean. Laura, oblivious. Basting turkey. Ellie reciting pilgrim facts. He pulled me to the study post-feast. Fire crackling. You think you can bury me? He hissed. Lock it on the desk like bait. I built this for you. Walk away. Or we both drown. Choice. Forgive the father. Or torch the fraud. I chose fire. Slipped a USB, proof of the yacht scam. Elias's real killer named in a buried depot to Trent that night. Whispering, make partner. By Black Friday. Headline screamed, Voss tycoon faces fraud probe, Navy links emerge. Harlan's empire quaked. But he flipped again, called me at dawn. Voice shattered.
Ellie.
She's asking why daddy's a bad man. Guilt's blade. I drove north. Storm clouds gathering like old friends. At the gate, Laura waited. Face ashen. He confessed everything. To the feds.
Said.
You're his daughter. Polarizing moment. Save him from himself. Or let justice chew the bone. Winter clamped down on D.C. like a vice. Snow muffling the sirens that wailed for Harlan Voss's downfall. The Post's expose snowballed. DOJ probes. SEC freezes. Talking heads on CNN dissecting the Navy savior's shadow father. I watched from a Fleabag motel in Arlington. Burner phone buzzing, with leaks I'd seeded. Each one a thorn in his crown. But victory tasted like ash. Ellie's crayon drawing. Taped to my dash.
Mocked me.
Hero or homewrecker. The line blurred. And doubt crept in like frost. Harlan lawyered up fast, his own firm imploding. He hired outsiders. Pit bulls from WilmerHale. They spun the narrative. Whistleblower redemption. Family man framed by rivals. Laura stood by him in pressers. Ellie hidden away at a nanny's.
Me?
I was the ghost daughter. Unacknowledged. A tabloid footnote. Mystery rescue swimmer tied to scandal. Jax called from Norfolk. Will. You're viral. Brass wants your head.
Get gone.
I didn't. Instead, I doubled down. Meeting a DOJ contact, a Fed named Ruiz. All wiry intensity and cheap suit in a foggy bottom Starbucks. Read, he said, stirring sludge black coffee. Voss is singing like Sinatra. Names everyone senators, contractors. But he wants immunity.
And you. Bait.
Harlan was flipping allies to save his skin. offering me as collateral, the protocol breach influenced by his paternal sway. Lies layered thick. But Ruiz's eyes said belief was optional. Testify with us. Nail the network. Or he walks, paints you the villain. Moral quagmire. Rat out my blood for the greater good. Or shield the monster who made me. I testified. Voice steady in the grand jury room. Fluorescent hum the only witness. Files I'd swiped, yacht manifests doctored. Elias's suicide note in Harlan's script sealed the indictments. Walking out, paparazzi flashbulbs blinded like muzzle flares. I flipped them off. A Navy fuck you that trended on X. Back at the motel, a package waited. The locket, chains snapped, with a note in Harlan's scrawl. Blood calls to blood. But justice? It's a siren song. Meet me. Midnight. Lincoln Memorial. Storm front rolled in, sleet sheeting the reflecting pool as I approached. Tacoma's wipers slapping futility. He was there, bundled in wool, alone under the marble gaze. No entourage, just a flask passed hand to hand, bourbon, sharp as regret. You did this, he said, not accusation, but fact. My girl, tearing down her own house. I snatched the flask, swigged fire. You built it on graves. Harlan. Elias.
Mom. Me.
He laughed, bitter bark echoing off pillars. Elias was greedy, wanted a cut, not the truth. Your mom. She left me. Willow. Took you to spite. Revisionist rot. But his eyes, my eyes, cracked with pain. I watched from afar. Sent checks through proxies, pulled strings for your academy slot. Truth bombs, the anonymous scholarship, the CO who'd vouched for my enlistment. Protection, twisted as a riptide. We paced the wet stone. Ghosts of Lincoln looming judgment. He confessed the flips, framing Elias to plug a leak. Staging the suicide to end the bleed. Walking from us to dodge custody wars that'd expose his deals. The yacht, insured triple for upgrades that never happened. A nest egg for Ellie's college. I flipped to survive, he said. Like you. In that storm. Mirror held up.
Ugly.
Was I avenging? Or aping his cunning? Sleet turned to snow. Blanketing sins. Drop the rest, he pleaded. Testify, it was coerced. My rivals planted the files. Weary build. Father and daughter. Temptation coiled. A name. A legacy. Voss 2.0 without the stains. But Ellie's face flashed, innocent in the wreckage. Laura knows, I asked. He nodded. Begged her to take Ellie.
Run.
She refused. Loyalty's her curse. I left him there, silhouette shrinking and wide out. But the seed sprouted doubt. Ruiz called next morn. Voss skipped bail. Fled to the Caymans. Our nets closing. No, Harlan had flipped again. Cutting a deal offshore. Trading my testimony for his freedom. Feds swarmed my motel. Badges flashing. Accessory after.
Read.
Help us bag him. Polarized. Hunt my father. Or harbor the devil. I bolted south. 95 a blur of taillights and regret. Jax met me at a Waffle House off 29. Hash browns steaming between us. You're AWOL now.
Will.
Navy's cut you loose.
His eyes. Steady.
Offered harbor. Come clean. Or run with me, civilian life. Austin's son. Choice nod. Brotherhood over blood? I chose hybrid. Fed Jax the Cayman's chords from Harlan's last ping, then vanished into the Appalachians, holing up in a cabin near my old West Virginia hollows. Spring thawed the ridges, but my freeze held. News trickled. Harlan nabbed in Georgetown, extradited in chains, arraigned in Norfolk federal court, poetic. I watched from afar, burner tuned to streams. As Laura testified, he changed after the storm. Said Willow showed him grace. Grace? The word choked me. Ellie, in foster limbo, drew public pity, petitions for family reunification. With whom? The betrayer. Or the breaker. Court dragged. Summer humidity thickening the air. Harlan's defense. Diminished capacity. Paternal delusion. He flipped shrinks, painting himself victim of systemic pressures. Prosecution countered with my docs. Elias's ghost invoked. Then the call, Ruiz. Voice edged. He's offering you up.
Read.
Says you orchestrated it all. Revenge for abandonment. Immunity if you flip back. Climax crested in the courtroom. Gallery packed with brass. Reporters. Laura's tear-streaked face. I walked in unannounced. Civvies hiding the dry-suit scars. Took the stand as surprise witness. Harlan Voss is my father, I stated, voice carrying like a bosun's pipe. Gasps rippled. He saved me from his world by leaving. But he destroyed mine with lies. I laid it bare. The locket, the frames, the storm's irony. I broke protocol for a family. He broke one for fortune. Harlan's eyes met mine across the well, pleading.
Proud?
Jurors shifted, polarized, monster or man.
Me?
The avenger or the abandoned. Verdict hung. Deliberations stretching days. Outside. Protesters clashed, justice for Voss versus. Sailors deserve better. Fists and signs in the swelter. Jax texted, your move made waves.
Proud.
But pride curdled. Ellie's guardian ad litem approached post-testimony. She wants to meet you. Says the mermaid's her sister now. I met her in a park off the Irk River. Swings creaking in brine breeze. Ellie, 9 now, clutched a stuffed dolphin. Daddy's sorry, she said. Matter of fact. He told me before the bad men took him. You're my big sis.
Heart shatter.
Laura hovered, hollow-eyed. He flipped for us. Willow. Always does. Loyalty's curse. Indeed. Deliberations broke. Guilty on fraud. Manslaughter. Elias's death pinned as reckless endangerment. Harlan sentenced to 25. No parole. No look back as marshals led him away. Just a nod. Father to daughter. Ghost to avenger. But the twist waited in appeals. His lawyers unearthed Mom's diaries. Mailed posthumously. Harlan didn't leave. Willow. I pushed him. His world's poison. But his love.
Pure.
She'd hidden his checks. Forged the abandonment to toughen me for the waves. Doubt flooded. Was revenge justice? Or just another flip? I walked from the courthouse. Free but fractured. Ellie's hand in mine. Laura offered co-custody. I took it. Half measure. Navy reinstated me on appeal. Hero's redemption. But the salt felt stale. Autumn returned. Leaves carpeting the Chesapeake like blood money. As I navigated the wreckage of Voss. Norfolk base buzzed with my comeback. Promoted to lieutenant commander. Tasked with rescue ops training. The irony a daily lash. But home was fractured. Shared custody with Laura. Ellie shuttling between my quarters and her mom's condo. A biweekly ballet of drop-offs laced with unspoken blame. You're like him, Laura spat once. Over lukewarm takeout. Flipping the board when it suits. I didn't deny the apple hadn't fallen. Just rolled into deeper thorns. Harlan wrote from Lorton, maximum security. Letters smuggled via a guard he knew. Willow. Blood's the only protocol that matters. I flipped to save you then, you do the same. Philosophy from a cage. But it wormed in. I visited once. Plexiglass between us. His face gaunt, but eyes alight. Ellie's thriving, I said. Neutral. He grinned. Chipped tooth from a yard scuffle. My girls. United. No apology. Just claim. I left colder. But the locket, rest-strung. Mailed back, hung heavy around my neck now. Amulet or anchor. Twist uncoiled in November. DOJ deep dive. Elias's suicide wasn't Harlan's alone. Mom's diaries hid more. She'd discovered the fraud. Confronted Harlan. But covered for him. Forging docs to shield the family. I bore the sin. 1-page read. So Willow could sail free. She'd pushed him out not for poison. But partnership, co-conspirators till cancer claimed her. Betrayal inverted. My revenge avenged the wrong ghost. Harlan hadn't framed Elias solo. Mom had signed off. Protecting the nest egg that funded my path. Rage reignited. But twisted at her. At the lies that built me. I drove to West Virginia that night. Snow flurrying the hollers. Dug Mom's grave under the crooked oak.
Why?
I whispered to Frostley Stone. No answer. Just wind howling Navy cadences. Back in Norfolk, I flipped. Anonymous leak to Ruiz, diaries, chords. Mom's complicity. Feds balked, statutes cold. But it bled public, scandal twist. Rescuers emon then on fraud. Polarizing peak. Villainize the dead. Or damn the system. Laura confronted me at Ellie's school play. Nutcracker recital. Tutus twirling amid chaos. You buried him deeper, she hissed in the lobby. Program crumpled. For what? Ghosts. Ellie waved from stage. Spotlight halo. I shrugged. Truth's the only steady sea. But her eyes, Harlan's eyes, accused, flipper. Like Dad. Ellie chose sides that spring. Post-trial appeals denied. I want both, she declared at family court. Voice piping in the oak-paneled hush.
Judge.
A silver-haired admiral type. Nodded. Blood and bond. Custody split even. But she gravitated to me. Mermaid stories at bedtime. Pool swims where I taught her the hoist. Did you hate Grandpa? She asked once. Bubbles popping. Love and hate, I said. Like waves, crash and recede. Harlan's last play came summer 25. Prison transfer to low SEC. Model inmate, status bought with canteen snitchery. He called collect. Come see the flip.
Kid.
I went. Ellie in tow. Laura's blessing. Uneasy truce. Lorton Rec Yard. Chain link and concrete. He emerged in khakis. Lean as a lifer's hope. Ellie hugged through fence. He wept. Unashamed. My anchors, he rasped. To me, you won, Willow. But victory's Pyrrhic. We talked hours, his jagged days. Mom's laugh over moonshine.
Destor más fates jest.
I'd break protocol again, he said. For family, echo of my dive. I left the locket with him, your heirloom now, and drove east. Ellie asleep shotgun. Dreaming dolphins. Ending landed soft. No thunder. I resigned commission that fall. Parlayed scandal fame into a consultancy, maritime safety. Pro bono for Rigger's kids. Jax and I, partners now. Austin bound. His prosthetic clicking on our porch as Ellie chased fireflies. Harlan paroled early 27. Vanished to Nova Scotia, Laura's olive branch. A cottage by the bay. Postcards arrived, flipping pages. Not people. Love. Dad. Happy? Tragic? Reader's hell. Me, still debate. Did I avenge betrayal? Or birth a new one? The storm took nothing. Gave everything a sister. A father redeemed in rust. A life beyond protocol. But in quiet nights, Lockett's ghost whispers, blood calls, and sometimes you answer. Or dive deeper. Was it worth the wreck? Ask the Atlantic. It never lies.